So you might hear car noises, but hopefully not a whole lot of slack noises as we're driving to Cornelia, Georgia. So you get to come with us. Chapter 3. Mrs. Olinsky's very first teaching job had been in an elementary school whose principal required 6th graders to memorize at least 14 lines of poetry every month, and insisted that 5th graders know their multiplication tables up through 12 times 12, which you and I have discovered we can almost do, and permitted no one to exchange valentines unless the names on the envelopes were written neatly and spelled correctly. Although spelled correctly seems subjective. There was no graffiti on the walls, no gum chewing, running, or shoving in the halls. There was locker inspection once a month, and everyone who used the bathroom flushed. That principal's name was Margaret Draper. 2 years before Margaret Draper retired, the district reorganized its school system and sent 6th graders to middle school instead of elementary. 6th had once been the top grade in elementary school and was now the bottom grade in middle school, but it was still the place where kids had mastered enough skills to be able to do something with them. It was still the place where kids could add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and read. Mostly they could read. Really read. 6th grade still meant that kids could begin to get inside the print into the meaning. Mrs. Margaret Draper, who had never called herself an educator, had always been a superb teacher and principal, but between the time she had started as an elementary school teacher and the time she had retired as a middle school principal, 6th grade had changed, but 6th graders had changed more. 6th graders had stopped asking now what, and had started asking so what, which I actually don't think is a problematic question, but Margaret Draper does. She had not been sorry to retire when she did. That very first summer after Margaret Draper retired was when Eva Marie Olinsky left teaching. That was the summer of her automobile accident. For all the many months following the accident, Mrs. Draper stayed in touch with the young Mrs. Olinsky. They were both widows now, and they saw each other on a regular basis. After Margaret moved to Florida, they continued to stay in touch in a Christmas card life milestone way, so Mrs. Olinsky knew the major facts of Margie's life. Her move to Century Village, her marriage to Izzy Diamondstein, her trips, her turtles. Mrs. Olinsky also knew that Ethan Potter was Margaret Draper's grandson, even though Margie never had much to say about him. When Eva Marie saw that Ethan Potter was assigned to her homeroom, she refrained from asking Margie about him, or Ethan about her. She wanted to discover Ethan all by herself, so she watched him closely. Probably more closely than she watched the others. Ethan was smart, yes. He had a certain independence of mind, yes. And he still asked now what, instead of so what, which I still don't think is a problematic question. When Mrs. Olinsky decided that Ethan should be a member of her team, she did not tell Margie, or for that matter, anyone else either. The Commissioner of Education of the state of New York smiled as he read the next question. I'm not sure I can do the Commissioner's voice. Will you do the Commissioner's voice? Mm-hmm. Okay.
The following places in New York State are associated with women famous in American history. I shall name the place. You are required to tell me why it is important and name the woman associated with that place. You may choose 3 of the 4 places. If you answer all 4, you will receive an extra 2-point credit. If you choose to answer only 3, the other team will have an opportunity to answer the 4th, and if correct, will receive 1 point. The place names are Seneca Falls, Homer, Rochester, and Auburn.
Ethan rang in as the last syllable sounded. Yes. Ethan Potter would know all 4 parts. Yes, 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 and yes. End. Act 3, Scene 1 kind of introduction situation.